There's a quiet confidence that comes with true intelligence. It's not loud, flashy, or arrogant. It doesn't scream to be noticed. It simply exists, anchored, steady, and deeply rooted in perspective. In a world driven by noise, speed, and superficiality, intelligent people often appear to walk a different path. They make decisions that might seem counterintuitive. They choose restraint over reaction, observation over opinion, and long-term vision over short-term gratification. You might ask, what sets them apart? Is it their education, their upbringing, genetics? The truth is, intelligence in the practical sense is less about IQ and more about behavior. It's about how someone thinks, responds, and most importantly, how they live. In this video, we're going to unpack 7 powerful things that intelligent people do differently and how you can integrate these same habits into your own life, regardless of where you're starting from. These ideas are not just intellectual, they are deeply philosophical, many rooted in Stoicism, one of the most powerful schools of thought in human history. A Stoic doesn't seek applause, they seek wisdom, and so do the intelligent. Let's begin with the first thing intelligent people do differently. They master the art of silence. 1. Intelligent people master the art of silence. Intelligent people understand that silence is more than just the absence of noise. It's a powerful tool, a deliberate choice, and a space where the mind breathes. In a world obsessed with constant communication, where everyone has an opinion, a tweet, a hot take, those with deep wisdom often say the least, not because they have nothing to say, but because they know when to say it, and more importantly, when not to. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This isn't just poetic, it's strategic. Intelligent people pause before speaking. They don't react, they reflect. Whether in a heated argument, a business meeting, or a casual conversation, they resist the urge to fill silence with filler. Why? Because they know words have weight. In every moment of silence, they are analyzing, observing, measuring the tone, the body language, the emotional charge. And when they finally speak, it's with precision. They also use silence to diffuse tension. While others escalate with emotion, they create space. Silence creates a psychological mirror, forcing others to hear their own words and reflect. Often this is far more powerful than any argument. Silence also gives them control. In negotiations, silence forces the other party to speak first, revealing more than they intended. In relationships, silence is how they avoid saying things they'll regret. In decision-making, silence gives them clarity. They sit with their thoughts. They don't act impulsively. But make no mistake, silence doesn't mean passivity. It means strength. It means understanding that restraint is often more intelligent than reaction. If you want to become more intelligent in your everyday life, practice the pause. Don't rush to fill the air. Let silence do its work. It speaks louder than most words. 2. They think long-term in a short-term world. We live in a world addicted to the short-term. Fast food, flash sales, viral content, instant results. But intelligent people operate differently. They play the long game. In Stoic philosophy, there's a concept called futurum exactum, the idea that the future must be shaped with intention, not passively awaited, but crafted. Intelligent people delay gratification, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. They understand that short-term pleasures often create long-term pain, while short-term discipline often creates long-term freedom. Consider the story of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic. Despite ruling an empire, he lived with simplicity. He knew that the daily temptations of luxury and ego would rot his soul. Instead, he focused on his legacy, his duty, and the betterment of humanity. That is long-term thinking. In the modern world, intelligent people apply this in every area. Finances, they invest rather than spend. Health, they exercise and eat right, not for vanity but for vitality. Relationships, they build trust slowly, intentionally. Career, they make strategic moves, not impulsive ones. They ask, what will this decision look like in 5 years? Not just 5 minutes. And when faced with setbacks, they don't panic. They zoom out. They understand that temporary failure is part of a larger arc. They are not prisoners of the present moment. This mindset is rare and powerful. To adopt it, start thinking like an investor. See your time, energy, and attention as capital. Don't spend it all at once. Place it where it compounds. Ask yourself, does this action serve my long-term self? If the answer is no, it's probably not intelligent. 3. They seek truth, not validation. Most people are addicted to being right. They curate their lives, their feeds, and their beliefs to confirm what they already think. It feels good. It protects the ego, but it limits growth. Intelligent people don't chase validation. They chase truth, even when it hurts. The Stoics called this prohairesis, the capacity for moral choice, the ability to choose truth over comfort, self-awareness over self-deception. Smart people understand that if they only surround themselves with agreement, they stop evolving. So they welcome disagreement, they seek correction, they admit when they're wrong. Why? Because they'd rather be improved than be admired. They read books that challenge their views. They engage with people who think differently. They ask, what if I'm wrong? What am I not seeing? What's the deeper truth? They are students of reality, not slaves to ego. This mindset is especially vital in the age of algorithms. Social media rewards echo chambers, but intelligent people resist that pull. They don't want flattery, they want facts. This doesn't mean they're cold or overly skeptical. It means they're humble. As Socrates famously said, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. That statement isn't defeatist, it's liberating. If you can detach from the need to always be right, your mind becomes a vessel, open, receptive, curious, and most importantly, capable of growth. Seek truth, not applause. That's what intelligent people do differently. 4. They master their emotions without suppressing them. One of the most profound signs of intelligence is emotional mastery, not denial, not suppression, but mastery. In today's world, people are told to follow their heart and trust their feelings. But intelligent people know, not every emotion deserves obedience. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Emotions are temporary, but decisions made from emotion can be permanent. Intelligent people feel deeply, but act wisely. They don't bottle up their emotions, they observe them. They create distance between stimulus and response. Like a scientist watching a reaction through glass, they don't get swept up, they get curious. This concept is central to Stoicism, especially in the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, who wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This doesn't mean they're cold or unfeeling. It means they use reason to guide them, not just reaction. Intelligent people ask themselves, is this emotion telling me the truth or just a story? Will this matter in a year? What's the most virtuous response, not the most satisfying one? They understand that sadness, anger, anxiety, these are signals, not commands. They sit with these feelings, understand them, and then act with clarity. This kind of self-regulation is powerful in relationships, careers, parenting, and leadership. It doesn't mean ignoring your feelings, it means not worshiping them. The Stoics believed in preparing for adversity before it arrives, a concept called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Intelligent people imagine worst-case scenarios, not to scare themselves, but to train emotionally. They think, if this happens, I'll survive. If I lose this, I'll endure. If I'm hurt, I'll grow. In doing so, they build emotional armor, not to close themselves off, but to walk openly through the chaos of life with calm and control. 5. They embrace solitude as a source of strength. In the age of hyperconnectivity, solitude is rare and often misunderstood. Many confuse it with loneliness, but intelligent people know solitude is power. It's not isolation. It's intentional separation. It's time spent alone not to escape, but to reconnect. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus wrote, "He who lives in solitude may learn to live with himself." And that's the point. Intelligent people seek out time alone, to think, to write, to reflect. They understand that ideas don't grow in crowds, they grow in quiet. They know that self-awareness is impossible without silence. Solitude is where they sharpen their mind, where they hear their own voice, where they audit their values, confront their ego, and ask life's biggest questions without distraction. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, journaled in solitude every morning. His thoughts became meditations, a timeless guide to self-mastery. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." The intelligent person retreats inward to grow outward. They don't fear being alone because they've made peace with who they are. This self-containment creates emotional independence. They don't cling to people out of need. They love out of choice. They don't panic without constant stimulation. They embrace boredom as a gateway to insight. While the world seeks to escape itself, intelligent people sit with themselves and emerge stronger. If you want to grow in wisdom, schedule solitude. Make space. 6. They think in systems, not just goals. Most people set goals. Intelligent people build systems. What's the difference? A goal is a result, something you want. A system is a process, a way of thinking and acting consistently. The Stoics didn't care much for external goals. They cared about virtue, which is an internal system for living well, regardless of circumstances. Epictetus taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." To him, it wasn't about achieving fame, wealth, or influence. It was about living with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance daily. That's a system. Intelligent people think the same way, because systems focus on what you can control, your actions, your habits, your inputs. And the Stoics were obsessed with control, not of the outside world, but of the self. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." That's not a goal, it's a system of awareness, a constant reminder to live deliberately. Intelligent people reverse engineer their values into daily actions. They measure progress by integrity, not outcomes. And ironically, this leads to better results, because they're not outcome addicted, they're process focused. If you want to be like them, stop asking what you want to achieve. Start asking, what kind of person do I want to become? And what systems get me there, regardless of circumstances? 7. They turn pain into fuel. Everyone suffers, but not everyone uses their suffering. This is where intelligent people diverge sharply from the norm. They don't just endure pain, they transform it. As Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." To the Stoics, pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every loss, every failure, every setback, they saw it as training. Marcus Aurelius endured plagues, wars, betrayals, even the death of his children. And yet, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This single sentence has become a modern philosophy, popularized as "the obstacle is the way." Intelligent people live by this. They understand that pain contains data about who they are, what they value, and what must change. They don't numb it, they study it, and perhaps most importantly, They use it to help others. This reframes their past. It turns scars into symbols of strength. To think like them, start treating your pain as material. Let's reflect on what we've learned. Intelligent people walk differently in the world, not just because of what they know, but because of how they live. They master the art of silence. Think long-term in a short-term world. Seek truth, not validation. Think in systems, not just goals. Turn pain into fuel. Their actions echo the timeless teachings of Stoicism. Reason over reaction, virtue over vanity, self-mastery over external control. They don't need to prove themselves. They improve themselves quietly, consistently, with purpose. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who thinks differently.